Good afternoon, or early evening, old gun guy here. I've been out of commission for almost a month with the logging operations we're going on my property. They finished up yesterday. They pulled all the equipment out of here. Couldn't make any videos, obviously, because the guys were working in the woods, and the noise too, the chainsaws, incessant chainsaws, and the log skidders dragging oak trees out of the woods. Today I decided to do a handgun video because it's a little easier logistically. Part of my range has to be sorted out because in the logging operation I lost my 150 and 220 yard targets. I got to go reset them up on different trees and mounting points. But I've sorted out the range out to about 100 yards and got most of the debris off that. But for today's video, I'm going to talk about this iconic pistol here. This is a CZ-75B Bravo, later variant of the CZ-75 pistol. Very fine double action, single action, semi-automatic 9mm pistol. Very well made by the Czech company CZ. And the 9mm Parabellum cartridge, 9mm Luger cartridge. I believe Sammy gave it that designation after its inventor, George Luger. I'll go into the cartridge first. And I've done other 9mm videos, so I've done the history, but I got to do it, repeat it, restate it, because it's a new video. The 9x19mm metric designation, 9mm NATO military designation. The 9mm Luger, the Sammy spec designation, all referring to the same cartridge. The 9mm Parabellum. It was an offshoot of one of the first semi-automatic pistols, bore-shot pistol. It was in a 30 caliber cartridge, 7.63 by 21mm. Parabellum, it was named. From the Latin, if you want peace, prepare for war. I forget the front part of the actual quote, but parabellum, for war. The Borscht pistol with the, I believe it was toggle, almost like the German Luger, the P08. And the German military wanted a larger caliber than 30. So the 7.63 by 21 Parabellum was shortened. Case was shortened to 19mm, and the neck was opened up to 9mm, 355 thousandths of an inch. The designer, George Luger, is his name, and the cartridge to this day bears his name. Designed it and developed it in 1901. The dawn of the smokeless powder era, early on, the first 10 years or so of the advent of smokeless powder. He designed a very compact, adequately powerful cartridge for defense or military purposes, and it's been wildly successful. It was adopted by the German Navy, I think, in 1904, and the German Army in 1908. And they also adopted the P08, the iconic Luger pistol. The cartridge, as it was designed, this is a Winchester 115 grain silver tip. More modern cartridge, hollow point. Was small case, a lot smaller than a 38 Special, which was also popular at the time, popular police cartridge. Due to it was designed for smokeless powder, and the 38 Special came from a black powder cartridge. Needed a much bigger case. So in this compact little case, you have a ballistically superior round to the 38 Special in a much smaller package, and it can be fit into a semi-automatic handgun magazine. Quite a lot of these little cartridges to make a very useful defensive or military style pistol, or police pistol, or competition pistol. The 9x19, it operates at about 35,000 psi. I believe that's max spec. I think the NATO loadings are loaded to 38 or 40,000 for submachine guns. 355 thousandths of an inch projectile. Useful projectiles, 100 grain, 90 even. You could load 90 into it, although there's some exotic loadings with 60 grain bullets. So it's called 60 grains to 150 grains. The standard projectile weight for a very long time is 115 grains, or basically a quarter of an ounce. Or what's popular today is 124 grain projectile, or 135. That seems to be the sweet spot in the defense of ammunition today. It's the most popular handgun and submachine cartridge in existence in the world. I believe one of the ammunition distributors did a survey, and I believe the 9mm Luger has 21% of the overall share of ammunition manufactured and sold. 21%, followed by the 223, 556, and then distantly by the 45 ACP. But it says a lot from a cartridge designed almost 124 years ago, almost 125 years ago, very shortly. For most of the 20th century, remained a military and pistol, handgun, and submachine gun caliber. American police use, they stuck with the revolvers until the mid-1980s, with the advent of what were called the Wonder Nines. The 9mm semi-auto pistols are decent capacity, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 shots, all developed in the 70s and the 80s. The first Wonder 9 would be the P35, the high power, made by FN and Browning. This is a clone. This is not a Browning, but it was the first semi-auto pistol with a substantial capacity. 13 shots was the magazine, and that's the Browning or the high power is a semi-auto pistol, but it would hold 13 and one in the chamber. There would be 14 cartridges you could load in the gun. The original Wonder 9, 1935. In the 70s, other firearm manufacturers, Smith & Wesson, developed the Model 39. That was like an 8-shot or 9-shot, 8-shot semi-automatic, double action, single action, semi-automatic pistol. I refer to single action, this high power clone or P35 clone. Hammer's got to be cocked. The hammer's not cocked, you can't fire the pistol. These weapons have been cleared, but another feature of the high power is a magazine disconnect. You don't have a magazine and you can't fire it. But that's it. It has to rely on the operating the action to recock the hammer after a shot is fired. The CZ-75, developed in 1975, the pistol we're going to talk about today and shoot. All steel handgun, weighs about 2.2 pounds. It's a full-size service pistol. It's got about a 4.5 or 4.6 inch barrel. Right-hand rifling twist, 1 and 10 inches, 1 and 9.5 inches. That's the standard for the 9mm. It has 6 lands and grooves, right-hand twist. It's a double and single action semi-automatic pistol. So if you have a round chambered, magazine in round chambered, and the hammer's down, you have to manually let the hammer down. The first shot would be double action. When the firearm cycles, now you're into single action. And it was widely used in the 70s and the 80s before the advent of the striker-fired pistols, which have the same trigger pull every time. Full steel pistol, very well made. The first variants come out in Czech engineers designed them when they were still under the overwatch of the Soviet Union. They're part of the Warsaw Pact, Czechoslovakia. It's now the Czech Republic and Slovenia. They broke apart after the Soviet Union collapsed. About 10 years after the Soviet Union collapsed, they parted ways. But the Czech state-owned arms manufacturer, CZ, developed their military weapons. They developed this mainly for the export market, and then it became popular later on in their own country when they were producing it. The first models, produced in the 70s, had forged steel frames, and they're highly sought after as collectibles. As it went through production, they sought to lower costs, and they contracted with a Spanish firm to make cast steel frames. But the Spanish weren't very good at that, and the frames started cracking. So the Czechs had to eventually go to their own casting process, and they perfected it. They have a very good, finely cast steel framed handgun. The barrels are hammer forged, but the frames are cast steel on modern guns. Let's see, it's a full-size service pistol, double action, single action, as a safety on the frame, on the left side of the frame. When a hammer's cocked, you put the safety up. It's safe to carry this pistol cocked and locked, or condition 1 is if you have a 1911 similar around in the chamber, and the ambidextrous safety. This is a B model. In 1993, the CZ-75 added a firing pin block to prevent accidental discharge or unintentional discharge if the pistol is dropped, and it could have fired in certain instances. The firing pin block internal to this gun prevents that from happening. So you could throw the gun out the window and it shouldn't fire. The standard magazine capacity is 15. They make 10s. They make 16 round capacity, and I believe there's a Mekar is a 17 rounds. Fits function of gun, and I'm sure they make extended magazines far beyond the standard capacity 15 or 17. 2.2 pounds. This is a discontinued model. This was high polished stainless steel. They had a matte stainless and a high polished version. I kind of like the high polished version. It kind of looks like nickel. It's very well done, very well polished. So I purchased this. They discontinued these in 2020. They still make the blue, high polished blue steel version. But it's, the trigger guard, it's got ambidextrous safety, so righty or lefty you can shoot it. Behind the trigger guard, it's nicely scalloped for your finger, for your hand. The grip fits my hand very well. It's a really solid gun. If you're like a firearm, I like my plastic striker fired guns, but I also like steel guns. I carry the striker fired plastic ones because they're lighter, half the weight of this. But if you want a real steel gun, CZ is a very fine pistol. One of the design features is the slide right inside the frame, as opposed to most pistols, like even this P35 or high power. The slide runs outside over the top of the frame, over the frame rails. I'm going to pull this CZ apart. It comes apart real simple, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you notice, the slide is very low into the frame, and the barrel, the bore axis, is very low into the pistol in your grip. So what that does, when you have a low bore axis relative to your grip, is it reduces muzzle rise. That and the weight of the pistol, and that's a 9mm, makes it very controllable and accurate pistol. Off the bench, these things generally, with decent ammunition, will group 1 to 2 inches at 25 yards, which is pretty good for a pistol. It uses the Browning lock breech cammed barrel design. The 1911 uses a swing link. Basically, they're all derivatives of Browning's design. This has a fixed cam track to the barrel with the slide stop or slide release lever, combination slide release lever and pin that goes through the cam operates the pistol, causes the lock. When it's fired, the barrel and the slide go back for, I don't know, a portion of an inch, and then the camming action, when it hits the track, unlocks it from the slide. The slide continues back under inertia against the springs, extracting, injecting the spent case and picking up a fresh cartridge out of the magazine as it goes forward. To the stainless steel versions, I believe all the stainless steel have ambidextrous safeties like this one. So you get basically the two controls on the left side, safety and the slide lock. Push it up, lock the slide, and then magazine release is up here on the left side of the frame. And to take it apart, I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, there's two very fine lines, one on the front, one on the frame, and one on the slide. They got to be lined up. So, all right, there we go. You got to pull the slide back to align them to get the locking pin, slide release lever out of the weapon. To do that, it's got like a little quarter cock notch that gets the hammer just out of the, or eighth cock notch, or whatever you want to call it, quarter cock notch. Gets it back just far enough so when you bring the slide back to align the marks, I'm going to align the marks. I don't know if I can do this with the camera. I might have to do it like this. You push up on the slide release pin, pull it out, and there's your frame. You can see the rails are inside the frame as opposed on the outside. And if you look at the slide, you can see it rides inside the frame, and the slide's very thin. And basically you just got your operating spring. And this is the bottom of the barrel. This is the cam track right here. And this is what locks it into the slide. The lug's on the upper part of the barrel. Same thing as a high power. Same thing as a 1911. They all have the same feature. And this slide release, doubles as the cam pin. But the phone there. I gotta pause this for a second. All right, just got interrupted there for a second. Yeah, that's your locking and unlocking feature. That cam track, this slide stop lever and locking pin actuates. That's how the gun operates, and can be pulled apart easily for cleaning, as all good pistol design should be. Put the barrel back in. A little dirty from shooting. Got the there we go. The feed ramp and the barrel hood. It's back the same way it come apart. It's kind of uncaptured recoil spring, pretty stiff. Goes into it's a blind access point, and it just locks on a shelf here. That's that. And we put the slide back in a frame. Pull it back. You gotta align the marks again and drop the slide pin in. There we go. Push it all the way until it locks home. That's all there is to it. You can see it. Another thing, that's why I pulled out the high power. It kind of looks like a high power, the CZ. That was a design cue. Kind of like copying the lines. It's got the scallop front of the slide, just like the high power, and underneath, very, very similar. The sights, decent sights. Little white dot in the front, just a U-notch in the back, and there is no magazine disconnect in the CZ. It'll fire without a magazine in it, unlike the high power or the P35. I'm gonna do the standard shooting tests. Just get back into my little video thing here, my little video groove, as it were. I'll do ammunition I'm gonna use. All right. I have some of this Russian Tula laying around. It's 115 grain full metal jacket. I'm gonna use that for most of the shooting. Looks like that. And can't even get this somewhere. It used to be good cheap range ammo. You know, I have some laying around. I have some Spear Gold Dot. These are from my police days, left over. Plus P, 124 grain Gold Dot hollow point. Do a thermal effects test with that. Okay, back after that little second interruption. Yeah, I'm gonna do a thermal effects test. I have this older, if I get a chance, 115 grain Winchester silver tip. This stuff's probably about 40 years old. Old duty ammo. Oh, one thing with the CZ, I forgot to do the trigger pull. Double action first. Breaks at about 10 pounds. But it's pretty smooth. Yeah, 10 pounds. And then single action is usually around 6. And yeah, just a hair over 6. So trigger's very smooth. Not a little take up there, and then, you know, a real creep. And then this single action trigger just breaks clean, and the reset, yeah, not bad for a military type pistol. Durable. I'm gonna do an accuracy test offhand. I'm not gonna do it off arrest. We'll see how my old eyes and sometimes shaky hands do at 25 yards on a Q target or a IDPA target. I shoot steel plates. I'll do a comparative ballistic pendulum, 22 versus 9mm. Most of the shooting, like I said, I'm going to use this 115 Tula. Do the chronograph. That radar chronograph works really good. Don't have to worry about sunlight or anything. Can get the velocities in the clouds. I'll do a few other demonstrations with it, and as I go, and then come back for the summary, and that'll be it for. That's how we'll wrap up our CZ-75 9x19 pistol. So I'll get on to the tests. Okay, I'm gonna do a little chronograph test. I got a 115 grain full metal jacket Tula here, you know, Russian stuff. Can't get no more. I have some Winchester silver tip, probably 40 years old. It's old duty ammo I used to carry way back. 115 grain jacket hollow point, and Spear Gold Dot 124 plus P. This is also duty ammo laying around. Just gonna do 2 shots each because I'm limited on the hollow points, just to get a velocity comparison, get the other camera all set to run, and I'm just gonna load the pistol. The Spear will be the last shots. The first shots will be the Tula, followed by the Winchester silver tip, and the last shots will be the Spear. And that's how I'll load the magazine. Okay, first up, 2 shots of the Tula 115 full metal jacket. I think I'm in the shot here. There we go. $11.89, 12.07. That's pretty good out of a service barrel. Next up, the 115 Winchester silver tip. $11.91, 12.17. And last up, the 124 grain Spear Gold Dot Plus P. 1255, 1258, very consistent. And that was captured on the other camera. That'll be our velocity comparison. When I do a terminal effects test, I'm going to do the Spear 124 Gold Dot. And if I get a second chance to do it, I'll do it with the 115 silver tip. And that's what I'm saving them for. The rest of the shooting demos I'll do with the Tula, the throwaway ammo. All right, so on to the next demo. 1189, 1207. That's pretty good out of a service barrel. Next up, the 115 Winchester silver tip. 1191, 1217. And last up, the 124 grain Spear Gold Dot Plus P. 1255, 1258, very consistent. And that was captured on the other camera. That'll be okay. Comparative recoil test, baseline, Luger Mark II, 22 long rifle. I have some Winchester 40 grain hollow points in this, copper jacketed. And nice and close on the camera. That's our 22. Next up, the CZ-75B. It's got a 115 grain Tula full metal jacket. 2 rounds. Let's see, nice and close. Okay, that'll be it for our comparative recoil demonstration with a CZ-75B 9x19 full-size service pistol. Okay, comparative recoil test, baseline, Luger Mark II, 22 long rifle. I have some Winchester 40 grain hollow points in this, copper jacketed. Nice and close on the camera. That's our 22. Next up, the CZ-75B. It's got a 115 grain Tula full metal jacket. 2 rounds. Let's see, nice and close. Okay, that'll be it for our comparative recoil demonstration with a CZ-75B 9x19 full-size service pistol. Okay, going to do a little comparative ballistic pendulum energy test. 2 8-inch steel plates. Center one, I'm going to shoot the 22 Luger Mark II 40 grain Winchester copper jacketed hollow points, and the 2 on the right will be the CZ 9mm Tula ammo, 115 grain full metal jacket. It's in the high 20s here, and the snow flurries just started, so quite a change from the last few days. So I'll do that demo, and then maybe I shoot some steel plates offhand with the CZ for this portion. So the camera's running. Let me get the 22. Okay, and the frame, Luger Mark II, center plate, and pretty much the 22 barely nudges the plate, and now the CZ. That one. There we go. Hands are getting cold. A lot more energy imparted there. Like I said, I'm still sorting this range out. There's a lot of tree toppings down I gotta clear. I'm good to the 100 yard. The The other two targets I got to set up further on and cut some tree limbs. I think I'll just turn this camera around overall and shoot a couple of plates. Let's go for the torso right here. All right. I'm gonna go do the accuracy target next. I'll get a IDPA target. I'll stand about 20 yards back and see how tight I can get it offhand. Off a wrench, very accurate. Like I said, cold day, frozen fingers. But that'll be up next. And then after that, I think I'll do the terminal effects tests. So on to the next thing. Pretty much 22 barely punches the plate. And now the CZ. Alright, I got a high DPA target set up. I got a little black aiming point in the center of it. I'm going to aim at that offhand. I'll take 5 or 6 shots. Just as a general, what you can expect out of CZ. Tula, just bare bones range ammo, steel cased. It was good when it was coming in cheap. You can't find any of it anymore since that Ukraine war. But I have to pull this in some more because I'm off center here. All right, I think it'll be in a frame. Okay. The other camera's running close up. Whoa. Thought I had more in the clip. Let me put a few more in. And I'll put 5 more in. 5 more. Let me pause this. And I got another hostage target down there. It's a small torso with a little tiny head. I think we'll set up and shoot a few shots at that. And that'll be it for like the shooting demonstration. Then I'm gonna do the terminal effects test. So. Okay, I moved out to about 10 yards. I have the other camera running on it. It's probably a third or a quarter the size of the IDPA target. So I'll try and hit the little hostage head and just hit the plates. All right. I think I'm in the frame. Yeah, I threw 3 shots off the head. I think I was shooting under it. But that'll be it for the shooting portion. I'm going to go to the terminal effects test next. Let me set that up. I'll do 124 Spear Gold Dot plus P. It's old duty ammo I had laying around. And I got one Winchester Silver Tip. It's about 40 years old. 115 grain. I carried that in the late 80s. I still have some of that laying around. Let's see how that does on the terminal effect target, which simulates a human or animal. It's a test medium for it. So let me pause this. Okay, I moved up to about 10 yards. Has the other camera running on it. It's probably a third or a quarter the size of the IDPA target. So I'll try and hit the little hostage head, just hit the plates. Frame. I threw 3 shots off the head. I think I was shooting under it. But that'll be it for the shooting portion. I'm going to go to the terminal effects test next. Let me set that up. Okay, at the terminal effects target, for those who haven't seen it, it's 6 inches of water, 3/4 inch piece of plywood, simulating heavy bone, 2 more jugs of water. That's all I should need for a pistol round. Another piece of 3/4 inch plywood. This was hit twice before. I got them marked. Hopefully the bullet goes into the clean portion of the plywood because I'm getting a little light on plywood. I duct taped 4 layers of material in front of the first jug. It's basically just a rag folded over into quarters. So see if it plugs the hollow point up and it penetrates deeper. I'm going to go back to the shooting point. Be using Spear Gold Dot. This is a little vintage too. It's probably 25 years old. My old duty ammo. 124 grain Gold Dot hollow point plus P. We'll see how it does. What we got? Cock and lock. Bring the camera back so I'm out of harm's way, and I gotta set the other camera running. It'll take a second. I don't feel like getting splashed in 25-degree weather. Let's see. I'll try and get the. Yeah, that's too close. Right about here, yeah. That looks like I went into the second jug. Let me pause this and clean the mess up, and we'll autopsy it. Okay, good result. Got the projectile. Went through the material. You see the bullet hole in the tape. folded over on itself. Entered here, exited there, ripped the jug open pretty good. Entered here, expanded. These are the previous hits. Blew out a big chunk of plywood. Second jug and entered, did not exit. There's a lot of chunks of plywood in there. Big chunks of plywood. And perfectly expanded spear gold dot. You see a little gold dot in the center of the expansion? That's where it gets the name. Petals are perfectly peeled back. That's the back of it. I'm going to weigh it and measure the expansion for the summary, but that's a very good result. I'm going to set this back up again with our vintage 115 grain mid 1980s Winchester silver tip 115 grain aluminum jacket hollow point. So let me stop this and we'll set that up. Okay, back for our terminal effects test number 2. Same setup. I got a fresh piece of cloth, so the wet one won't alter the results. 4 layers of material. This is a terry cloth towel. 6 inches of water. A fresh 3/4 inch piece of plywood. 2 more 6-inch jugs of water. And 2 sheets of plywood at the back to catch any, if the projectile veers off or anything. Kind of set the camera running and set this up for the shot. I'm going to be using this vintage 115 grain Winchester silver tip. And I was just curious, had some laying around, see how it does. Alright, let me set this up and we'll take this shot. Okay, I get the pistol loaded. I'm going to kneel down, take the shot, the other camera's running in slow motion, and we'll see what happens. Let me pause it and we get the results in a minute. Okay, good result. Entered about here. Blew the jug apart. Can't really see where it entered. This looks like an exit. Fresh piece of plywood. Just put a divot in, about maybe 3/8 of an inch. And a projectile was laying on the table. The other 2 jugs weren't affected. Mushroom good. Yeah, it's a good result. Completely mushroomed. I don't see any, there's no fabric, just a flattened out hollow point. So with that, go inside for the summary. It's very raw and nasty out here. So. Okay, back for a summary here with our very fine CZ-75B all steel full-size service type pistol. Really good shooting gun. Fits my hand well. I think it would fit most people's hands well. Perhaps not, but the grip really ain't that thick or big, in my opinion. Put it through its paces. Did the chronograph. Did a comparative recoil between the 22 Luger, the baseline, close up on the camera. Did accuracy test. Did ballistic pendulums, 22 versus 9mm, close up, shows the energy imparted. Did 2 terminal effects tests, and they both come out good, both with vintage ammo I had laying around. And just some plinking at the plates. I had the hostage target. My nephew gave me that, and I had to move it out of the woods because it was a logging operation. Actually, one of my torso targets was dragged 50 yards down one of the logging trails when they were skidding logs out. Fortunately, I found it and recovered it. That's all done now. Started snowing out. It ain't sticking, but it was, you know, it's pretty raw out. So let's go over the chronograph. 3 ammos. I had Russian Tula. Used to be a good cheap range ammo. Used to get up like $8 or $9 a box. And since the war in Ukraine, yeah, that all went away. We don't see any of that anymore. But I have a few boxes of it laying around. 115 grain full metal jacket. They're steel case, Bird Prime, non-reloadable. Like just good cheap throwaway ammo. The velocity for the 2 shots averaged 1,198 feet a second from our 4.5 or 4.6 inch barreled CZ. That translates to 367 foot-pounds of energy. And there. Winchester Silvertip, 115 jacket hollow point. It's probably about 40 years old. Velocity was 1,204 for the 2 shots, and the energy was 370 foot-pounds, 115 grain projectile. Last up was the Spear Gold Dot. That was 124 grain plus P jacketed hollow point. The velocity averaged 1256. It's pretty consistent actually. It's only a couple of feet per second off each shot. And that translates to a lot more energy, 434 foot-pounds of energy. I'll go into the terminal effects when I get to the point. Did the comparative recoil. The 22, obviously a 2.2 pound full steel 9mm is not going to recoil much. And the low bore axis actually reduces muzzle flip because your hand's pretty high up, you know, in relation to the bore. And one of the design features. Jeff Cooper, very influential gun writer and experimenter and influencer of the mid 20th to late 20th century, World War II vet. Had high praise for this pistol. He considered it at the time the finest 9mm service style pistol in existence. In fact, they took this basic design when he was involved in developing the 10mm, and they made their Bren 10 pistol, well, basically a CZ clone, CZ-75 style clone. Clones are made, I think European American Army in Italy makes clones of the CZ, and perhaps other companies. If you're going to get a CZ-75, go to the, the place where it was invented, CZ, in the Czech Republic. They make good products. They're rifles. Anything I've ever handled by them is, pretty high quality. They stopped, like I said in the intro, they stopped making the stainless steel version of this, polished stainless steel. Looks like nickel, but it's very well done. Fit and finish. I shot some steel plates offhand. The one torso is about 50. I hit that twice. I missed it once. Shot the hostage target. That's only about this tall, and the head's about that big. The little swinging head plate. So I was shooting that from about 10 yards. I missed it a few times. I hit it a few times. It's pretty breezy and cold and damp outside. Did the accuracy target. Did that from about 20, 22 yards. And offhand, all Tula. I had 4 shots. I thought I had more in the magazine. It was 4 shots. I had to stop, reload. So I fired 9 shots at the accuracy target. 8 of the 9 were in the A zone. I have that here. This little perforation is the A zone. There's one flyer. They all did their job. Shot dispersion. It's a combination of the ammo and the shooter. That ain't too bad. I'll take that and get the job done. Did the shot the plates, ballistic pendulums, accuracy target, hostage target. Did 2 terminal effects tests. One was with both of them vintage. Both of them were duty ammos of mine. The 124 grain Spear Gold Dot Plus P. I carried that, you know, most of the 90s, 1990s to early 2000s, and then I switched to 45. That was given to us as an option. But performed very well. Blew up the first jug, punched a big hole through the plywood. I had 4 layers of clothing in front of the terminal effects test to simulate clothing. That's the purpose of that. And frequently fibers will plug up a hollow point and it'll behave like a full metal jacket projectile. But the Spear Gold Dot performed fine. I weighed it. It's 124 grains on my powder scale, so it hasn't lost anything. Put it in this little needle nose pliers. You can see it. There's the Gold Dot. There's the pedals. The maximum expansion was 575 thousandths of an inch, nearly 58 caliber, and retained all of its weight. You can't ask for better performance than that. Did the same test with a fresh piece of cloth, 3 jugs of water, 3/4 inch piece of plywood simulates heavy bone. The silver tip did not go through the plywood. It went in about 3/8 of an inch, and actually delaminated the back of the plywood. If you look at the top edges, you know, pushed the plywood apart, but didn't put a dimple out on the reverse side. This also did very well. Expanded more than the Spear, 618 thousandths of an inch, so 62 caliber at its widest point. You know, full expansion. The pedals peeled all the way back, and it only lost 2 grains of weight. You can't ask for better than that neither. It was 113 grains out of 115. 113.2 to be exact, out of 115 grains. And you know, perfectly expanded. Both of them projectiles would do the job in a defensive role against a human who meant you harm. Terminal effects test. What can be said? Nice pistol, if you should acquire one. A lot of them have been built and imported into the country. Like I said, it comes apart easy. It's very durable. If you're looking for something that's, you know, different than the plastic wonders, which are fine pistols, and I do carry Glocks, and I like Glocks. I'm a big fan of Glocks, but if you want something different, CZ-75. And I think I covered everything there. Oh yeah, I wrote the figures down. I'll put this on the bottom is the, if you can read my chicken scratch, the Winchester silver tip, the expansion, the retained weight, and same thing with the Spear Gold Dot at the very bottom, and then the velocities. You're firing it at a full length, you know, service barrel, 4.5 inches, 4.6 inches. So it's if you want to carry a full-size pistol, this will serve you well. The other thing with the double single action, you can never really master the trigger. Some people may. I come close, but not, you know, it's something your brain finds it hard from switching from a 10-pound full pull trigger to a much lighter single action trigger, and the trigger's in a different place when it breaks. So it's, you know, if you could carry this, you could carry this cocked and locked like a 1911 condition 1, only if you're practiced though. So with that, that's it for my CZ-75 video and the 9x19 millimeter cartridge, also known as 9mm Luger or 9mm Parabellum. I'm Old Gun Guy. If you like this, like and subscribe. Have a good afternoon.